Roster cutdown day is tomorrow, 4 p.m. Eastern, so there's going to be a lot of moves being made over the next 24 hours, whether it's releases, some trades potentially, and then some waiver claims. So don't miss a single thing when you are subscribed to the channel. We've got a mixture of good and bad news on today's episode as Kevin Stefanski has released a very in-depth injury update on a handful of players, including Nick Chubb, who unfortunately is expected to remain on the PUP list to open up the season, as Adam Schefter points out. This is a bummer. I mean, I was hoping to see Chubb as early as week 1, which might have been a bit on the ambitious side, but I thought if not week 1, week 2, week 3, hopefully sometime in September, but not to be. So we've got updates on Chubb. We'll get to in more depth in just a moment, along with some other players like Jack Conklin, who Ian Rappaport points out has passed his physical and is coming off the PUP list. So not just Conklin comes off the PUP list, a handful of other players as well. Jedrick Wills is activated off the PUP list. Dalvin Tomlinson is off the PUP list. Greg Newsome is off the NFI list. And D'Anthony Bell is off the PUP list. So Newsome underwent hamstring surgery before training camp started. Dalvin Tomlinson got a knee scope after day 1 of training camp. And we know Wills and Conklin are coming back from torn ACL/MCL combinations from last year. And D'Anthony Bell picked up some mysterious shin injury that I can't really trace back to the origin. But Nick Chubb will stay on the PUP list along with Nyheim Hines on the NFI list, it sounds. I didn't really get a clear answer from Stefanski today as to whether or not Hines will be activated off the list or not. If he is on the list after Tuesday 4 p.m. Eastern, he does not count towards the 53-man roster, but along with Chubb, he cannot play in the first 4 games of the season. So these are the games that Chubb will guarantee miss. Week 1, home against the Cowboys. Week 2 at the Jags. Week 3 against the Giants. Week 4 against the Raiders. Now, hopefully, he could be back as early as Week 5 against the Commanders. I don't want to get ahead of myself, but, I mean, Dallas is going to be a good team. That's not going to be an easy out by any stretch, right? It's going to be a very tough game. Week 2 against Jacksonville, I'm sure they've reloaded a little bit, but we saw how they ended last year. I think the Giants are going to be a bottom 3 team in football. I think the Raiders are going to be a bottom 5 team in football. So, if there are some games you don't need Chubb for, I'm sure the Giants and Raiders game come to mind if you're trying to put together a perfect schedule that Chubb could miss. And then hopefully he's back week 5 or at the latest week 6. I mean, I'm just trying to be optimistic here and look at it half glass full. I know some people are saying online that this is not a surprise whatsoever and this was always the plan. I'm a little surprised. I mean, for any media member that's saying this is no surprise, this was the plan all along, were you also the one that tweeted out at the end of July in Greenbrier when Nick Chubb ran sprints in front of the media and they weren't allowed to record it and were jaw-dropping sprints and floors on the mouth going, oh my God, Nick Chubb just put on an impressive workout for us. He's looking great right now. So yeah, sue me and the rest of us that thought, well, if he's sprinting at the end of July and he's squatting 600 pounds in the middle of July, maybe he could be ready by mid-September. I know, what a wild thought that a lot of us had. I know that a lot of that was just wishful thinking. So I'll say right now, I mean, I was wrong. I thought Chubb would be back for September. He would not start the year on the PUP list. So hand up, got that one wrong. But I'm definitely a little surprised that Chubb will open up the season on the PUP list, just based on the progression he had in his injury over the summer and the updates we got. It felt like he was making great progress, and I mean, an ACL, recovery takes 10 to 12 months, and he underwent his second surgery in November. So if it's 12 months, it's November, and if it's 10 months, it's sometime in September. And I just thought Batman is Batman. He'll be back at the earliest possible date, but clearly the Browns are being a little bit more on the cautious side, and if he's not available for the first 4 weeks, there's no sense in wasting a roster spot on him. Might as well go out and get another running back to help out Jerome Ford, Deontay Foreman, who we have an update on, along with Pierre Strong Jr. So a lot of injury updates to get to in just a moment, but let's show Nick Chubb some love. Drop a 24 in the comment section below if you cannot wait to see Batman take the field. On to the offensive line now. Jed Wills and Jack Conklin, thankfully, are coming off the PUP list, which is a big sigh of relief because Deshaun Watson may or may not have played in preseason week 3 solely because those two guys were injured. So we're going to expand on that in just a second and tell you everything you need to know about Conklin, maybe moving positions. But first, I want to tell all of our viewers about Game Time. I love going to watch games in person, and if you're the same type of fan, you're going to want to check out Game Time today because they are giving the Dog Pound $20 off their first purchase when you use code CHATSPORTS. Now, Game Time has so many awesome features. Maybe my favorite one, though, is the all-in price option. So instead of spending 30-plus minutes finding tickets, getting to checkout, and then going, wow, there's an extra $100 in taxes and fees, with Game Time, you know right from the start what your out-the-door price is. So download the Game Time app today and use code CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply, but I look at it as, hey, Game Time's going to get your first concession run. Game Time's going to take some of the money out of your parking. So take Game Time today to your next sporting event or any other event in your local area. And terms apply, but you're going to save $20 off your first purchase when you use code CHAT Sports. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game time. Now let's talk about the offensive line. With Conklin coming back, but Jed Wills getting activated, however, he is not expected to practice tomorrow. I would not rule out Conklin getting moved from right tackle to left tackle and then putting DeJuan Jones in at right tackle to get your best starting 5 combination. So, some background on Jack Conklin. He has some experience at left tackle in the NFL. He played a total of 67 snaps between his first 2 years in the NFL back with Tennessee at left tackle, but he was predominantly a right tackle with the Titans. However, at Michigan State, his 2-year run as a starter, he played left tackle every single snap. So this is not a completely new position for him. Hopefully, maybe some old habits will return if he does end up moving to left tackle. My only thought is, let's say they move Conklin to left tackle, and Conklin starts kicking ass at left tackle, and DeJuan Jones is doing his thing at right tackle. When Jed Wills returns, are they going to mess with a winning combination? Unlikely. So then we have what's not a bad problem to have. You've got 3 starting caliber players on your team, and this is probably the best possible starting 5 combination. But I do wonder if we might see Conklin move to left tackle temporary, and then all of a sudden he starts dominating at left tackle, and the Browns decide, well, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Let's keep Conklin at left tackle. We'll keep DeJuan Jones at right tackle, and then Jed Wills becomes a backup tackle, and maybe he becomes a trade piece for a team in search of a tackle. Just something to think about. A couple other guys returning to practice. David Njoku, Pierre Strong Jr., Jordan Hicks, Tony Fields, James Hudson. So great to see these guys at practice. And then, Reed, can we actually go to the other players returning to the PUP list? I just wanted to re-hit some of those names as well because we really hope hyper-focused on Chubb, Conklin, and Wills. Dalvin Tomlinson is coming off the list. That's very encouraging to see. Greg Newsome's coming off the list, and DeAnthony Bell, like I mentioned. So Tomlinson I'm a little bit concerned about. Same goes for Newsome, just because when you're a 300-plus pound monster, having a knee injury before the season even gets underway, I mean, it doesn't take a doctor to realize your knee takes on a ton of weight, and if you're that big and move that violently and fast, having an injury before the season begins is not ideal. Same goes for Greg Newsome, a hamstring injury. When your job is to be quick and twitchy like a DB, having a soft tissue injury before the season even gets underway definitely concerns me. I don't think these guys, just because they get off the PUP list, their hamstring and knee, just go, oh, we're off the PUP list? Okay, we're back to 100% now. And then DeAnthony Bell, just excited to see him back out on the practice field. Some other injury news, though. Denzel Ward remains in concussion protocol. Remember, this is his 5th documented concussion in the NFL. His last documented one was basically this exact same time last year. Really sucks to see for Denzel Ward. I just hope that he's able to make a good recovery and doesn't run into any long-lasting injuries or effects due to all the concussions he has sustained before he even turns 29 years old, 28 years old. So thinking of you, Denzel, and hope that everything goes well in your recovery. Deontay Foreman not practicing tomorrow. He's coming off an injury he sustained in the preseason finale. So with Jerome Ford healthy and Pierre Strong Jr. coming back to practice, the Browns basically have 2 running backs. So keep an eye on Cleveland to add another running back via the waiver wire, especially with Chubb not counting towards the 53-man roster. Okay, who you got, though, for week 1? I know we had kind of a up and down, doom and gloom, like happy and sad show today. But who do you got week 1, Browns or Cowboys? Let me know in the comment section. One last thing, not good news. Mike Hall. Mary Kay Cabot from Cleveland.com is reporting that Mike Hall, the second-round draft pick out of Ohio State, is expected to be placed on the commissioner's exempt list by Tuesday on roster cutdown day. The background, if you've been living under a rock, he was arrested on August 13th for domestic violence with his fiancée. She gave a very disturbing and detailed report about Mike Hall dragging her out to the highway, putting a gun to the temple of her head, saying, "I will effing end it all." And then fast forward 2 weeks later, and just the other day, she recanted the part about putting a gun to her head. So stories are not lining up. This is clearly becoming a little bit of a he said, she said, and we'll have to wait and see what happens. But I can tell you this much, Sue L. Robinson, we will likely be meeting again. If you don't remember Sue, that was the independent arbitrator who dealt in the Deshaun Watson case. She may be coming back to Cleveland and dealing with Mike Hall Jr. We got to wait and see, and no clue as to how long a resolution could take. The NFL sometimes cares and sometimes doesn't care about the legal process, so they may just start their own investigation and kind of bypass the police a little bit or skip ahead of them. But that's the latest on Hall. Hopefully, we'll get a resolution sometime soon. And without Hall, if he does end up on the exemption list, the commissioner's list, he is basically suspended indefinitely. So that could clear a path for Siaka Ika to make the roster. I mean, Tomlinson, Harris, Quentin Jefferson, and I would say Mo Hurst are locks to make the roster. So if Hall's not out there, you've got 4 DTs. Maybe they end up taking Siaka Ika if they got an extra roster spot. All right, that will do it for us on today's show. Make sure to follow us on Instagram, by the way, Browns Report IG, and we got to pick a card too. So that's okay. I kind of forgot myself, but we're going to pick a card. But we always post content. We're starting to post content over on our IG account. That was just launched last week, so trying to grow the channel a little bit more. If you're on Instagram, we'd greatly appreciate it. We'll put unique content on the Instagram account along with your YouTube, so you're getting a little bit of everything. Which card do you want to go with, Reed?
Let's go with 5 of hearts.
5 of hearts. I'm going to go with the 9 of clubs. No, Jack of diamonds. Jack of diamonds. Okay. Enjoy the rest of your Monday. We will see you guys tomorrow or maybe even later today if we get some more news.